Hello. Hi. Hello, hello. Hi. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. I woke up this morning and I felt inspired to talk about this topic. So usually I like to give, people more time. Hi from New York. Hi, Catherine. Yeah, I love that, there's people watching here from Alaska, Hawaii. I've had Canadians. I don't know if I have anyone from Europe yet watch me. If you are from Europe, please let me know. But I love it. I absolutely. Hello, hi JS Spirit, and welcome. So today I wanted to talk about a topic that I think a lot of us, wonder and probably have experiences with. So it's animals, and can animals see spirits? So it's Halloween time, spooky season. So it's always fun to talk about spirits and apparitions. And then it's also animals are my favorite topic. So this is a perfect combination. So I'll just give people like maybe another minute or two to join us, and then I'll start. But anybody, want to say where you're from? I love that. I love hearing where my followers are from. Today's going to be the chat about can animals see spirits? And then I'll start. Okay, I guess I could start. Hi, Heather from Ohio. Hi. Nice. It's still warm over here, but not horribly hot. So I think today was just like, hi from, I live in Riverside too. Are you Riverside, California, Julianne? Nevada City, and both my dog bark echoes. Yep, I love it. Yes, they do. So you answered my question, right? Another Riverside, California. Yay, I'm glad I have some Riverside people. I always see people throughout the country, but I haven't seen Riverside. Julianne, yes, you believe so too. If you just want to say where you're from, just so I can have an idea of where my followers are from. But so let me get started. So do animals see spirit? I think most people would say yes. And if you haven't, then it just maybe you haven't noticed. Watch your pet, because there's many times where, for example, they start barking and you look outside and you just don't see Oakland, California, Mission Viejo. Very cool. So they start barking, you look outside and there's nobody there, right? So that's happened, I'm sure, especially if you have Chihuahuas, which I do. So that happens to me a lot, but I also have specific stories where I actually had the same experience with my pet. So I know it was a spirit. But there's been many a times where my dogs start barking crazy and I walk up, I look outside the porch and I don't see anybody. And the way they're acting, like they have different barks. Like all of us pet parents who have dogs, we know our dogs' barks. So like if they bark like really, really aggressively, it usually means that, for me, is when there's someone at the front door. And that's how they're barking. And they've done that before. And I'm like, there's nobody there. And I even look across the street. I look, both sides, nothing. And that's always when then my fillers start to open up, because usually I go throughout the day with my sixth sense closed, and I only open it when I work or when I want to purposely connect to spirit. So, growing up, my sixth sense was completely open, and that's why I saw spirit all the time. But that can get very nerve-wracking, distracting, kind of just scary. Not in a scary that there's anything bad about the spirits, but that you're just constantly seeing, because they're everywhere. Spirits are everywhere. So I go throughout my day with my little door closed. I have like a door, and I open it when I choose to see spirit. So when my dogs start barking and doing things like that, then I will open up my door, and then that's when I'm kind of like, ooh, yeah, I could feel it. I could feel there definitely was somebody, another energy there. But so I have two stories I would like to share, and then if anybody wants to comment or questions, by all means. So years ago, it was just me and Angel, my dog Angel, who has crossed over. But it was us two, just for like 9 years, just the two of us. And So I moved into, I rented a little condo, and right away, I want to say the first night or the second night, I already noticed weird things. So at night, the closet doors were the kind that slide. So at night, like in the middle of the night, it sounded like someone hit the closet doors really, really hard, to the point where it would wake me up. And then I'd be up, and then I'd think, well, what was that? You know, that same night, within the first week, all of this occurred. The same night, then the smoke detector in the room would start beeping. So obviously I knew something was there, and I was, nervous. But then I don't know why, I just would roll back to sleep. Within the first week, I got to meet my neighbor, who had a dog, and I had my dog. And right away, my neighbor's like, oh, where do you live? And I told my neighbor where I lived, and he says, oh, wow, Mr. So-and-so moved out, and they already are renting that place. So apparently there was someone who lived there like a month before, and that man who lived there for 20 years. I was renting, he owned it. It was a condo. And apparently his kids rented it, his adult children rented it to me. So I thought, oh, that's good. So whoever's at my house, I asked my neighbor, was he a nice person? He's like, yeah, he was a nice, really nice guy. But what happened was he smoked a lot, and he got a heart attack. He went to the hospital, and he died within a day or two at the hospital, and he never came home. So it was like real quick. So again, I was like, okay, no big deal. So within that, maybe at the end of a whole week, I noticed Angel, my little dog, who's like 8 pounds, this big. One day she backs up against the wall and starts shaking. And obviously I knew it was spirit, and I felt this was a spirit who was an intelligent spirit, because I've talked about this before. I think a lot of the hauntings that we see or experience are just residual hauntings. They're not an actual intelligent person. But this was, he would come and go. He wasn't always there. And so I right away told him, like, hey, don't you ever scare my dog. Okay. And I told him, my name is Jennifer. I'm renting this place from your kids. And I even told him how much I paid. I'm like, I'm renting this amount. I live here now with my dog. You don't live here anymore. You crossed over. And I want you to know that I think it's really rude for a grown man to scare a woman and her dog. And that was it. He backed off completely, to the point where I would notice him sometimes. I would smell cigarette is what I would do. I would smell cigarette, and I would then just feel him around me, just kind of, because he must have loved his home. And he had just redone his kitchen. So the cabinets were brand new. I think they were so brand new that when I got them, they still had some plastic on them. So maybe he wanted to enjoy his new kitchen cabinets, whatever. So for him, it was a person who really loved his home and was wondering why I was there, why the stranger, right? And a dog. So once I explained it, he totally got it, totally backed off, was very respectful. And I ended up living there for a few years, and we were good. Like I said, sometimes I would sense him, and I would even say, hi, I know you're here, and I'm taking good care of your home. Angel never, after that, never growled at like the air, never backed up, never started trembling, none of that. It was like suddenly everything changed just by me having a conversation with that man. So that's my story right there of, do animals see spirit? Yeah, that was clearly that she saw him, and I don't know, he must have said something to her, because she was not the personality to back off, to tremble. And that I have to make clear. She was an alpha dog. Although she was only 8 pounds, she was the biggest alpha. She thought she was like a 150-pound dog. To dogs, to humans. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen her cower like that ever, now that I think about it. So whatever, she witnessed, it really didn't scare her. But like I said, that never happened again. So any questions on that or comments on that one? And then I could tell you another story. Let me just go back and read the comments. So we're talking about can animals see spirit? And my answer is absolutely. They have a sixth sense. They can hear vibrations that the human ear cannot. They can see, I believe, wavelengths that the human eye cannot. And so I believe that's what they're seeing or hearing or feeling. They have better senses than we do. So if a medium who's a human can sense spirit, I'm like, oh, an animal can 10 times better sense spirit. And I do think certain animals are, well, I mean, I don't know about the animals in the wild. I have no idea if they could sense spirit. My guess is yes, but I don't have experience with that. I do know dogs and I do know cats. Now cats are very, very, I would say even more in tune with the spirit world. So yeah, they're almost like in one in this dimension and also the other dimension all the time. That's how I see cats. When I connect to cats, they're not always earthly. They're definitely mystical. So any of you cat parents, I'm sure out there would agree to that. But okay, so then let me tell you another story I have, this one really did scare me. So years ago, I'm not sure how many years ago, maybe 10. My grandmother moved in with my parents. My mom was watching her. I'm taking care of her, caregiving her. And my parents wanted to go to the fair, and my sister and my niece went with them. And so I went to my parents' house to spend time with my grandmother and watch her. And I brought, of course, my dog, and my dog was Angel. Angel went wherever I went. And so we were upstairs in the room where my grandmother was staying, and with my dog, and I was just talking to my grandmother about, I think we were talking about yoga. In fact, I was telling her about yoga, and she was just like, ooh, tell me, what is that about, and what is that? And so I was talking to her about yoga, and all of a sudden, this is in the middle of the day. This was probably like 5 or 6, because my family had left to the fair maybe 3 hours beforehand. But usually when they went to this fair, and if anybody knows, it's the Pomona Fair in California, that's an all day, all night event, right? Because there's food and fun. And so usually when people go there, you don't just spend a couple hours. And the room that my grandmother was in, it was on the second floor, and it was right near the front door in the front of the house. It faced the front of the house, this room, and also where the front door, where people can walk in to the home. So all of a sudden, we hear the front door open. We hear my family talking. We hear voices, and they're familiar voices. I say, oh, I guess they're home. My grandma's like, oh yeah, they're home. Angel gets all excited because she loves my family. So Angel, we're in the room. She runs to the hallway, to the banister, to where the staircase goes down. Now, she was too small. She could not go downstairs on her own or upstairs. She needed assistance. Her legs were like this big. She had little short, little cute legs. So she did what she would have normally done. It was greet them, but not greet them at the door because she couldn't. But she greeted them at the stairway. And I'm waiting. So I'm sitting with my grandmother waiting, like, oh, where are they? Like a minute passes. I heard the door open. I heard them talking. My grandmother heard them. My dog heard them, and we're waiting. And so then I say, wait a minute. I told my grandmother, wait. Walk to the banister, look down the stairs. No one. So I go downstairs. I open the door. I thought for sure maybe their car. Usually they would do the garage, but I thought maybe they went through the front. Nothing. No one. So we all heard them come home. We all heard their voices, not just the door. It was their voices. And nobody was there. So, and my dog, of course, was all excited. She thought it was them. Like, and again, she didn't bark. So she was a barker. This is a half Chihuahua, half Terrier mix of probably the two most aggressive dogs that there is, combination. And so she always barked. Like if it was a stranger, she would have barked. So that was a weird thing, that she didn't do her aggressive bark. She thought it was my family. So I posted about this maybe 6 months or a year ago. I posted this particular story and asked if anyone had heard of something like that, because it was their voices. That's what was kind of creepy. And someone answered to me, and she told me, and I can't remember the name now, but there's a phenomenon, and it's somewhere, I think in Norway, in the Netherlands, that I think it's that part of Europe where they have a name for this. And so if anybody here knows it, please type it in. If not, I'll look it up. But it's pretty creepy, because it's like, the belief is like, it's like the essence of the people who are here on the earthly plane. It's their essence, and that we picked it up. So again, do animals see spirit? Well, yeah, but angels sense the spirit of my family. That was the most mind-blowing. But I'm going to tell you, I had word experiences like that. I had in their house, I've had word experiences where I was in a room once, the door was closed, and I know it sounded like my mom calling my name, and I was about to open the door, so the voice was my mom's. Then I just knew it wasn't my mom, and then I just backed off. So like, I've had occurrences like that before in that house. But yeah, so there's that story. That's why it sounds familiar. Yeah, Catherine, you have. Yes, Catherine. I shared the story with at my parents' home with this. I have shared that like 6 months or a year ago. I have shared that story before, and like I said, that's like the scariest. Parrots can sense things on. Oh, parrots. Oh, you know what? That's fascinating. See, I don't have a lot of experience with birds, like, besides outdoor birds. So I do believe parrots. Well, a lot of, speaking of which, a lot of indigenous cultures believe that birds go back and forth, hummingbirds specifically, I'm thinking of, go back and forth from this realm into the next. They're messengers. So that would make sense that parrots can sense things on a different plane, because yeah, they're rather mystical as well. But yes, Catherine, I did share this story before. Oops, sorry. I did share this story before, but I'm gonna tell you that was probably for me one of the creepiest stories I've experienced. Where do you know how to distinguish the good and bad evil spirits? How do I know the difference? I'm gonna tell you, we all have a sixth sense, and usually it's our gut. Like, most of us can sense things from our gut, because that's where our sacral chakra is. So so if your gut, and there's even a saying, right? It's my gut. That's your sixth. There's instincts right there. There's receptors there. And so if you feel like something's wrong, then it probably is. Let me re-say that, because when we get fearful, startled, like right now, if I'm talking to you and suddenly the lights would turn off and on, for a second I might be startled, but then I think, oh, it's just spirit, because I'm so used to it. But at first, it might startle me, so then I might be inclined to think it's something scary. But that doesn't mean it's scary, right? Just because you're startled. So I think the first thing to do, Jackie, would be to ask yourself, am I just startled? Or is this really something that doesn't feel right? Right? And so then you can go from there. And it could just be an energy that doesn't work with your energy. Because just like people, think of all the people in this universe, in this world. I know I don't get along with every person there is. Like, I don't vibrate well. We don't match. So it's the same with when they're in spirit. We're not going to necessarily match with every spirit that we come across. And so if you don't feel right, then you don't feel right. And if it's something negative, then you're gonna feel it. But again, I think to discern or try to discern, am I just startled because I can't see the physical body? And this might take practice, right? Because like as a child, I constantly saw spirit and I was always scared, but it was because I was such a little girl and I didn't know to discern or to ask or just to sense, are they nice or are they not? Excuse me. I staged earlier in this room like half an hour ago, and I think I didn't open the windows enough. I love sage, but not when it's in my throat. Okay, so that's what I would say to that. And if you're a little bit confused about whether or not does this energy work with me, you can sage. And that's how you know, right? So if it's not on your highest good, you could just sage it bye-bye. But and there are animal spirits who come. So we're talking about animals can absolutely sense spirit, but animal spirits visit us all the time as well. They like the earthly plane the same way humans visit the earthly plane. So if you have a beloved pet who, they're going to visit you often in your home. They're going to be with you often. And this house that you have, unless you're a brand new owner, there's other people who have lived there before. And so the energy, the visiting the spirits or the animals, they could be yours, but they could be from the people who used to live there before, just because they like the house so much. And I do believe we overlap time. There's no such thing as time. So everything's an overlap. So I'm seeing right now 2023 time, but in this dimension. But I believe that other like spirit or animals can be here right here too, but in a different dimension. And that the way I notice it is when I shift. So perhaps if you notice a pet in your home, it could be your pet, but it could be another pet that was there from another time. But for that pet is living in their time. I know this is confusing and I have a hard time describing it, but essentially keep in mind that in the spirit world, there is no such thing as time. That is just an earthly construct. So spirit can visit or experience any time. 10 years ago, 30 years ago, and it's as if it's happening right now for them, because there's no physical body and there's no time. So with that being said, sometimes in our houses we have visitors from that we know, and it could be visitors who used to live there before, who just love that home as well. Does that make sense? I'm sorry. Hi, not your average rescue. Hello. Thank you for letting me do that on Friday, and I'm willing to do that more often. The transports, just FYI. Okay, does anyone have questions? Can you get hit with grief so bad that it can make you feel like something isn't right? Absolutely. I'm going to tell you that grief is so powerful and debilitating, and we just don't talk about it enough. It's just so strange. We just don't talk about it enough in our society. But you definitely will feel like something isn't right because someone you love, who you shared the physical plane with, it feels like they're ripped apart from you. I've had people tell me that it feels like my arm is gone, and they mean it. And so absolutely, can it feel like something isn't right? It isn't right. It's not the same. And so my suggestion, if you're feeling that way, is to allow yourself to grieve that it's not the same. Allow yourself to feel sad or angry or whatever emotion, that it's not the same. If they don't visit, was it not their time? Mother of Beasts, can I ask you to clarify, if you say if they don't visit, do you mean if spirit doesn't visit or animals? Can you just give me a little bit more clarity, and I will be happy to answer that question. Let me just check. And then Jackie, I'll go to what your, okay, Mother Beast, I answer, okay. I just want to make sure I answer your question correctly, Mother of Beast. Okay, good, I did. If not, just let me know. Okay, so my house was burned down prior to being built by my dad. So guess what, though? That land, there have been people, as you know, who have probably lived there before. Whether it's the indigenous people of that land, or it could have been, people from the United States. I mean, this who have lived there before. So again, spirit, whether it's an animal or a person, there's no time or space. So when they are on your land, they're seeing things as it used to be. They can see what's going on now, but they also can see how it used to be. So they're kind of like in this dimension. But it's the way they've shown it to me, actually, this is really, really interesting. So imagine like you're standing in the dark, and then there's a projector of one movie frame here, and then next to it's another one, and another one, and another one. And so like all around you, there's different movie projections. And then when they want to connect to us, they'll look at our movie projection and they jump into it, so to speak. And then that's how this is what I was shown. And so they kind of all run simultaneously, but then if they really pay their attention, and then they can connect on a better level to where we are. I mean, there's still so much I don't know. I'm only telling you what I've learned, and there's just so much more that my brain, I'm sure, can't comprehend everything. But so if you have a brand new house, or if your house was built over something else, there still can be spirits there, because there's other residents who have probably lived there before. It also could be spirits of your neighbors, because it's close enough. So it can be that as well. My little fur baby Chihuahua is very sensitive to sounds. Sometimes when we are asleep, she barks for no reason, and I tend to get nervous. Yeah, Jackie, it really could be that she's seen spirit, because they can hear vibrations and tones that we cannot. Like, I know there's this whistle that, like the dog pound people, they blow, and that the dogs can, that's how they know if they're in your home, and the dogs bark. So that's just proof right there that the dogs can hear sounds or vibrations that the human ear cannot. And I do believe they could hear spirit. Okay. My mom died 3 years ago today, still struggling with grief, physical pain years later. Grief is forever, Amanda. Grief, I promise you, grief is forever. Now, is it always as intense? Probably not. It probably goes up and down. The only way that grief can get a lot more intense is if you haven't faced it. So I'm going to talk now. I've been a grief and trauma therapist for 19 years. So when I work with people, I always tell them, you have to face your grief. It's not something that we can avoid. And some people tend to avoid it. Distraction. So what my suggestion always is no more distractions, and every day for 30 minutes, allow yourself to spend time thinking about your loved one who's in spirit, whether they're an animal, a person. Think about them. Allow yourself to cry. Allow yourself to laugh at the happy memories, any emotion. So what that does is, so this cup of water is us. The water itself is grief. So when every day we spend 30 minutes allowing ourselves to grieve, it lets out some of the grief at a little bit at a time, right? Now, you might always have some grief, but it's not overflowing if you do this. But when people don't attend to their grief, it will overflow. So that's number one. But at the same time, like I said, grief is always there. And there will be days, even if you pay attention to your grief, that there will be just hard days. Maybe anniversaries, holidays, something. And so that's normal. Like I said, it's just unfortunately our society doesn't talk about that. You know, you get 1 week off, I think, from work. Most jobs give you only 1 week off for grief. 2 weeks if I think it's 3 days off for grief if they're local, and like 5 days if they're X amount of miles away. I mean, let's think about that. That is absolutely ridiculous. That is the most ridiculous thought ever, that you could go back and function like normal 3 days later or 5 days later. And heaven forbid if you lose a pet, because then you get 0 days. So there's a lot more education that needs to occur in this society to honor grief. And I'm going to say this country used to have a much better handle on grief. 100 years ago, we would wear black all day in the United States and other cultures. But in the United States, we would wear black for a year, at least, to let everyone know we are grieving. So people would respect you and treat you knowing that you're tender, knowing that you're going through a tough time. There's also these letters, because back then there wasn't phone or, all that. So when you were grieving, there was stationery that had a black rim around it. And you would let your friends know how deep your grief was, depending on the paper. So here's the paper. If it had a lot of thick black rim, you're letting everyone know I'm still deep in grief. And they would treat you as such. They would maybe come visit you or give you food, or maybe not have such high expectations. As you start to feel better, the paper would get thinner, the black rim would get thinner. And that's how you let others know, okay, I'm feeling a little bit better now. So and that's just one example how, grief was a lot more revered or acknowledged. And of course, ancient cultures definitely acknowledged. There's a lot of ceremonies that people did at the time of the passing. A year later, there's a lot of ceremonies that would occur that would help us in the healing process. So there's my answer to that. So there's nothing wrong with you. But I would say that if you haven't been facing your grief, to start doing it, and that can help ease some of the pressure. Like I said, the overflow of water, it won't overflow as much. It'll be more contained. But grief is forever. We're always going to want them with us, no matter what. I'm a medium. I could speak to spirit. I still want them with me in the physical. I would do anything to have them still in the physical with me. Okay. If your pet doesn't visit in dreams, was that not her time? If your pet doesn't visit in dreams, was it not her time? Was that not her time? Pets probably do visit in dreams. Dream visitations is one of the easiest ways for us to connect with our loved ones in spirit. Easy in the sense that we can actually see them, feel them, hold them, hear them, because we're not in the physical body. So we're in the ethereal. We're a soul, they're a soul, so we can connect. The problem is remembering. So that's the problem there, is that we're not remembering. So I would encourage you to ask your loved one to visit you in a dream. Tell them, visit me in a dream, and then wake me up, your loved one in spirit. Wake me up so that I can remember. And then as soon as you wake up, so that you can remember, don't move, keep your eyes closed and replay the dream. Like, oh my gosh, I just saw my dog Angel and she was wearing a pink jumpsuit and she told me this and this and that. So I replay it in my mind. Then I can open my eyes and write it down. So have a notepad and a paper near your bed. But first replay it in your mind before you say or do anything, because that helps cement it or stamp it into our brain. Otherwise we forget. So I truly believe that we all of us go to the plane, like the heavenly plane, because we can. So why wouldn't we? We all go to the heavenly plane and visit our loved ones and have a wonderful time. But then we forget. Okay. So let's see what else. Jennifer, my husband's here and he has a question for you. He wants to know why he can't dream of his mama who died last year. Oh, Jackie. So that question also, what I said would pertain to what your husband's saying too. That I do believe that she does visit. I just think he forgets. And so it would just be practice. It would be, and also like I said, when you first wake up, don't jump up. Don't have an alarming alarm, maybe having like a soft bell. And then tell them to wake you up if possible. And then eventually, the more you start to remember your dreams, the more you'll start to remember that you do dream of your loved ones. And they could be very normal dreams, by the way, where you're just sitting all at the couch in the living room talking. You know, it could be that. Or it could be very illuminating where you see them with white light. And they're telling you, I love you. But if you dream of them all the time, you're going to see them just acting like normal because it's just like normal. Now, I just want to say this. And if you ever have a dream of your loved one and they seem ill or they're angry with you, that is not a dream visitation. I'm so sure of this. That is just your brain processing guilt or sadness, or I hope they're okay, worry. But that is not a dream visitation where you actually connect to them. Our loved ones in spirit will never come to us looking scary, angry, crying, because they are in heaven. Okay? They are in the best place ever. So they would never feel that way. Okay? So that I do want to say, because I do meet a lot of people who have dreams that maybe their loved ones will say something like in their dream, you know, how come you didn't take care of me, or still in a lot of pain. And I just tell them, that's just you. That's just you dreaming. That's not a visitation. Because we do dream, right? We process our day. Our brain needs to process besides visiting our loved ones in spirit and going anywhere in the world and other dimensions, our brain also needs to process our normal day. It just does that. Okay. We had to put my sweet Lola to sleep Wednesday after she lost her fight with lymphoma. Her fight with lymphoma. I'm sorry, Heather. I'm so sorry. Oh, she had lymphoma. It's the hardest thing to lose a pet. If there's any comfort I can tell you is that she no longer is uncomfortable. She's no longer in pain. And that she's by your side. Because why wouldn't she? So, I mean, I right now I have dogs sitting right near the door. You know, they sad, like I'm so far away. So they do that now when they're in the physical. They're still going to do it when they're on the other side. They're still going to want to be by my side, and they will be. If my dog went missing, will she still pop up on a pet reading? She was an older dog, so I assume she has passed away. When I have attended readings with you, she has never popped up. Okay, so absolutely, your dog can pop up. Whether she has passed, she's not lost anymore. So, yeah, that's definitely, we don't get lost when we're in spirit. I don't believe that. So it's all love. It's like the love is the magnet. Our love for them is a magnet. It is. And so, and even if she's alive, there is a possibility sometimes during mediumship readings, I will read I have read for pets who were alive, but they were pulled from their family, like usually like in like a divorce case where, you know, or they got lost. There's been several times where their pet has come through telling them they're okay and they're still alive, but their soul, just like our souls, and when we dream, can go anywhere, their souls can go anywhere, so they still visit you as well. So yeah. So VS, my guess is that, you know, if I don't know if we've ever had a one-on-one reading, but if it's just the readings I do on live, there's so many other animals trying to come through. It's just, it doesn't mean that she doesn't want to, and doesn't mean she's not with you. How do you know if she visits you? It just depends on how sensitive you are. So dreams is one way. Ask them. Ask your loved ones to show you signs that they visit. They're trying. They're trying to let you know they're with you. So say, show me a sign, please. And then become aware of those signs. Don't minimize those signs, because we do get signs, but often I notice that people will minimize it. So just be aware. That's what I want to say to that, because I meet a lot of people where I might say, okay, I think your animal shows you a sign this way. And then they'll say, oh yeah, I noticed that, but I wasn't sure. We don't second guess your intuition. That's what I want to say. You can just feel them. Here's another way they visit. If you're just minding your own business, and let's say you're watching television, cooking, and all of a sudden you think of your loved one very intensely, it's not just a thought. It means that they're right by your side. Yeah. Because you're not even trying to think of them. You're, like I said, you're minding your own business, cooking, and all of a sudden you think of them like, oh, they're there. Okay. Nothing is right since the sudden passing of my pup. That's why I asked if I was in her time when it had happened. Okay. So you're asking if it wasn't her time. This is what I truly believe. Although it may seem like an accidental passing, or it may seem like their life was very short, so it wasn't her time, on a soul contract level, it was her time. And I'm going to say this in general terms. So before we're born, we all have this lesson we want to learn. So before I was born, I said, I want to learn this and this. And our animals, before they were born, they want to learn a lesson there, and they're also here to help teach us the lesson we want to learn. So they're helpers. So one of their major roles is to help us learn what our soul wants us to learn. So when that occurs, it was her time. And same for me, when I do all that I'm supposed to do, whatever it is, then it will be my time. Even if I pass, like with a car accident, it may seem like, no, it's an accident, it wasn't supposed to happen. My soul knew and agreed to that passing. So we actually all choose our passings before we pass, before we're born. Because we have to pass one way or another. So it definitely can feel like it was before her time for us who are left behind. But on a soul contract level, when someone passes, whether they're human or animals, they did what they were supposed to do, even if they're alive only 1 hour, even if it's like a miscarriage. Whatever lesson that their 1 hour or quick life occurred, it did what it was supposed to do. The only time I believe that we pass and we're not supposed to is when we break a contract, is suicide. So that's when we haven't learned that lesson yet, but then it was just too hard for us here. So then we break the contract. And the great thing about that is then on the other side, we will be given, on the other side and probably live another life, a chance to live again and learn that same lesson again. So we will be put in that same scenario and we'll learn that lesson one time or another. So that's the only time I believe that it wasn't a time. "3 days, Catherine. Catherine, you said 3 days. What does that mean? Not sure. Our fur daughter has been really down since our fur baby. Yes. So I believe that. And so I'm glad you brought this up, because I'm thinking, right, well, if they could see them in spirit, then why are they so down, right? Because I've thought this myself. So first and foremost, and this happened with me, when Angel passed, she had 2 siblings. I had 2 other dogs when Angel passed. And I was obviously very depressed. And my dogs acted very depressed. And so I knew that, first of all, my dogs were picking up on my energy because they're so sensitive. So I had to sage a lot. I had to clear the energy, because grief, depression, all of that energy is real, and it can affect, anyone who could walk into the house would know that I was grieving very heavily at that time. So obviously my animals felt that grief and they were down. I do believe that the animals will miss the physical of their love, let's say the other dog, but then they're going to start to see the other dog or feel the other dog in different ways. And so they'll get accustomed to them that way. But my belief is if they're really feeling depressed, it's because they're picking up your emotion and they're helping you carry that sadness for you. So that's what I'm going to say to that. There's an adjustment. So at first, like, they're going to go to the old bed where, let's say, Angel used to sleep on a particular, not sleep at night because she slept in bed with me at night, but she had her own little pink pillow that she would sleep on in the day. And they certainly looked for her. They certainly smelled for her. But rather quickly, it seemed like once I started saging frequently and trying to not let my grief overcome me, then their mood got better. Because they saw her way before I did. It took me, my grief was so heavy. So grief is a very dense emotion that makes it hard to sense spirit. So when I work with people who are grieving very heavily and I try to connect them to their loved ones, if they have guilt, it's very hard for me to give a reading. I feel like I'm running through mud. Or that's how hard it is. If they don't have guilt, then usually I could smoothly go through the reading. So my own grief was blocking me from connecting to my dog Angel. I sensed her like the first day, and then after that I didn't. And I thought, why aren't I dreaming about her? I've been dreaming my loved ones my whole life. Why can't I dream of my Angel? And I was really mad. So my niece tells me a week later, oh, I dreamt of Angel. And I was actually so sad because, like, Angel, why'd you come to her and not to me? But the reason why was because my niece didn't have that deep level of grief that I did. It took me 2 months of grieving heavily, which I did. And I still grieve for her now, so I don't want you to think I don't. But 2 months of heavy grief before I dreamt of Angel. And when I did, I remember I was like, oh my God, I've been waiting for you. It was that kind of thing. Like, I've been waiting this whole time. And she just told me, I've been here. I've been here, Mom, but you couldn't see me. So that's what I'm going to say to that. I've had both dreams and a visit, and they are very different. So yeah, dreams come out differently than visitation. Oh, you've had a dream and a visitation dream? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if what you mean by that. If you want to clarify, I'll be happy to answer. Will a pet that passed reincarnate into another pet and come back to you? Yes, it's possible. I don't think it happens all the time. I think it's up to the pet. If the pets, I believe we all reincarnated. All of us have and all of us will. But will that pet want to reincarnate right away? I think it's up to the pet if they want to go back to the school of Earth quickly. And I also believe if you really, really want them to, they love you so much they probably will. So if you ask them. So by the way, my Angel asked me, and I told her, I don't want you to suffer. Earth is so hard. And she had so many health issues most of her life. I told her, I prefer you not to. I don't want you to suffer here on Earth. And so I don't believe she will. There may be a day that she's like, Mom, guess what? I'm reincarnating. And then of course I'll take it. But So yeah, I think about 20% of the readings I give, the pet mediumship readings I give to people, that pet will tell me that they're going to reincarnate. And they usually give me an idea when and like what they're going to look like. Also, there's been times where that pet who's in spirit now will tell my sitter, oh, well, I was your childhood pet too. So this is not my first round with you. So that's really neat, because then I could tell them how they were in that when they were a child, how they were, and then how they are now. And of course, it's relevant. It makes sense. Okay, I had 2 large dogs come through with some of my past family members. Do you know their names so I will know exactly who they were? No, I'm not doing mediumship readings right now. I'm just doing chats, talking about can animals see spirit and just kind of like what these kind of topics, but this is just a chat. If you want a reading, you can always go to my website, jenniferangley.com, and book a reading with me, and I can give you a very thorough mediumship reading. So when I do lives, I'm giving very brief readings. It takes a while to go back and forth, but I'm not giving you the details that is going to happen when it's a one-on-one, because there's a lot of personal information that is delivered. And of course, then I'm not distracted. So are we reincarnated? Heather, I think all of us have reincarnated. Absolutely, 1,000%, I believe that. Because our souls are infinite and our souls want to learn. We want to learn. And when you're on the other side, heaven, there is learning that occurs. But one of the best places to learn and the hardest places to learn is here on the earthly plane. That's why things are so tough over here. Things are not easy. We are so, just, watch the news for goodness sake. Things are tough all the time. And we're learning lessons and we're growing. And we actually grow more through heartache, unfortunately. And the trick is to overcome the heartache and then still remember that love and that we're infinite. And I do believe that's one of our soul's lessons, is to remember that no matter what, we are loved and that we're eternal. And that all of this doesn't affect the soul. But that's a lesson we all have to learn to truly believe it, right? So yes, I believe in reincarnation. I'm actually a past life regression hypnotherapist. I've trained with Dr. Brian Weiss. He's like the guru of past life regression hypnotherapists. So I have I've regressed myself. I used to have dreams growing up of my past lives. I've regressed myself and I've regressed many people into past lives. So yes, it's fascinating. And animals absolutely have past lives because they have souls. They want their souls to grow as much as ours want to grow as well. Although I am going to say animal souls are in a different vibration than ours. They are in a much higher vibration. They're not angels the way the biblical angels, but animals are very close to that vibration or very similar. They just they're not that same vibration. And if you think about it, that's why they have that unconditional love. That is, most humans, we can't do that. We're not there yet. We're just not. So yeah. I've had nightmares for years of how I will die. Does this mean it's going to come true? Ooh, I don't know. It's possible. It would be 2 things, I would say. It's possible that is how you're going to pass and you're just warning yourself to prepare. Or it could be a past life that you passed that way and it's now a big fear. So a lot of our phobias in this life are from past lives, how we passed. And we have that fear still. So that's what I would say to that. That was in regards to how many bereavement days most. Oh yeah, Catherine, 3, huh? So it's 3 days we get off for bereavement. And I believe it's 5 where I used to work. I work for myself now, but where I used to work, it was 3 days for losing a loved one. And I didn't get it from my dog Angel. Or 5 days if they were like 600 miles away or X amount of miles. So like, if you think about it, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous to think. And that's where I worked. I don't know if all jobs offer bereavement time. I don't think it's the law. I don't know. I honestly don't know that answer. Okay. Anybody else have a question? Thank you. Make some. Oh, yeah. So what I'm going to suggest to you, let me just read. Thank you. Makes so much sense when you mentioned the deep grief and making it difficult to receive the visit. My husband's also grieving, which makes sense why our pup won't visit like he says. So your pup's visiting, but you don't feel him. And if both of you are grieving, which is normal, right? It's a house full of grief that's very dense. Remember, I told you, whenever I read for people, the hardest thing, because most people are grieving to some degree, but when it's that deep grief or guilt, if there's any guilt, oh my gosh, that's the hardest thing for me to work through. So what I would suggest is allow yourself to grieve 30 minutes a day. Tell your husband to do it. So that's going to release a lot of that, right? Sage, sage, sage. Or bless your house, bless your house. Bells, raise the vibration. So keep the windows open. Sunshine is also raise anything to raise the vibration of your home. Beautiful music raises the vibration. As long as the music isn't like cursing. If it's music, it'll raise the vibration. Sing, dance. All those things raise your vibration so then you can perceive your loved ones in spirit better. Okay? All right. You're welcome. We believe our German Shepherd reincarnated into our pup. Oh my goodness. They're so physically different, but very similar. I absolutely believe that. Monique, I believe that 100%. And I think, what a difference, huh? From a big dog to a little pug. Like, that's just so cute. But yes, I believe that a lot of people's pets reincarnate, about 20%, I would say. From my experience, I would say about 20%. And it's fabulous because it's like your soul knows. Like you know, they look different, but your soul knows. And that's how also, so guess what, everybody? Your loved ones in your life, you've lived with them before. And so your mom may have been your best friend. You know, your sister may have been your husband. I mean, I know it sounds strange. It's mind-blowing. But we were all genders. We were all religions. We were all races. Because our soul wanted to learn what it's like in all sorts of scenarios. So it's all these souls, we all love each other, and it's called a soul family, and animals are part of our soul family. And so then we all say, hey, let's learn together. Let's grow together. So then we decide to be born close together. Like, you know, my parents, they say we're 20, 25 years before me, 25 years. But like, and then let's say my dog Angel. Okay, so she was born. It's all pre-planned. All of that is pre-planned so that we can live and learn and grow together. It's really beautiful. And so that's one thing to always try to remember is how infinite you are and we all are. And that as horrible as it is to not have them in the physical right now, you will be reunited and you live forever. You will be with them forever on a soul level. Okay. Yeah. I want to hear your past lives. Oh, you want to hear one of my past lives? Well, I'll tell you my most recent past life. Are you guys, I don't know, that's totally off topic though. I'll say it real quickly because it's not about animals. I was a little boy. I was a 17-year-old boy. It was in the 1940s. I lived in the Midwest, and I was driving my car. I was driving reckless, and I hit a tree. And to this day, I have neck and back issues that everyone asks, have I been in a horrible accident? And the answer is no, not in this life. And I also drive like a grandma. And I think I drive like a grandma because I used to speed in my other life. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay. I lost my faith when she passed. That alone is a struggle. I will definitely book an appointment with you. Oh, great. You did not fail your... Oh, please don't feel that. Please don't feel that. That is something they always say. Like, you did not fail. Oh my God. You loving them is all that they wanted. That's all that they needed is your love. I promise you. When we reincarnate, do we always come back in human form or can we be an animal? So Heather, This is controversial, but this is my true belief. And a lot of animal communicators believe the same because animals are not the same vibration as we are. So I can only wish that I could come back as an animal. I'm not there yet. No. They're much higher vibration. I don't even think we're in the same path, journey. No, I just don't. So we'll come back as other humans or other interdimensional beings, but I would not say not an animal. Okay. It's 5. Very interesting, huh? Okay, everybody. I am so glad you joined me. So I hope I answered everyone's the question I asked. I hope I answered. So do animals see spirit? The answer is yes, 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 yes. And next time your pet starts looking, like my dog Jackson he looks at my eyes, but then he always looks like right here. So I'm like, what are you seeing? I think he sees my aura or my angels, who knows? But so next time your pet does that, kind of like inhale, exhale, take a deep breath, and then kind of say, okay, who's here? And it's not necessarily scary because remember, your loved ones are with you a lot. So most likely it's your grandma, it's your dog who's right there. Okay, so thanks everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'll be doing more lives. And if you have any topics you want me to talk about, just let me know in my chat not in this, because unfortunately this chat, once I close it off, I can't see it after. But like just DM me or in my post, let me know what topics you're interested in and I'll bring them up in chats. So thanks everybody. Bye-bye.